Need a cinnamon candy?
You want to know what's funny is I almost brought some cinnamon candies today.
So what's the deal with cinnamon candy?
Does he not know?
You don't know?
No.
We'll tell you in the podcast.
Yeah.
So today we've got a special guest with us today.
Yeah.
What do we call you, Dr. Brit?
Call me whatever you want.
Sister MOE.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. You're made the trip up here for a wedding.
Sure did. Yep. Left work last night at 5. Drove up here. Got in 10:30.
So we figured we'd have
Quick
her join
weekend.
us on a little chat about hunting outdoors,
I love it.
the therapeutic aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
So Dad's not going to talk a lot, he said.
I was told not to overspeak. So
How come?
Well, I'm not sure. But
And who told you this?
Mrs. MOE. Mrs. MOE number
God,
one.
we got all kinds of them now. Mrs. MOE,
Yeah.
Sister MOE.
Mother MOE.
Mother Mo.
Mother
Okay.
MOE. Yeah.
So we were just laughing. We were talking about cinnamon candies because Brittney and I have a lot of stories of hunting growing up with
Yeah.
Dad back in the day.
Yeah.
And,
Well, more
what's-
so just being outdoors, camping
Yeah.
and stuff when you guys
So what's
were
the
young.
story of
and-
cinnamon candies?
Growing up, Dad always had candy with him. Root beer candies, cinnamon candies. There was always a whole bunch of candy. And you would always know where Dad is because you'd hear,
Paul has reminded me of that on the podcast. That's why I don't have a coffee with me right now, because he says I'm sipping too much and stuff. And so I try to keep things that, and I have had hard candy too here on the podcast, and that's been a problem.
so for years, Paul and I have joked about you and cinnamon candies.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a smacker.
So imagine sitting in the truck bird hunting, 8
Listening to
hours
them.
on the course of the day. Remember those little packages of candies you'd
Yes.
get for like
Yes.
2 for $1 or
Oh, they
whatever
were
they
so
were?
cheap.
Yeah. Fireballs and cinnamon candy.
Oh, fireballs. I haven't had those in a while. I loved those.
Yeah.
So good. I still love hard candy.
Do you?
Oh,
I don't
love
eat much
it.
for
I got a
candy.
problem with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that goes back to my childhood there. That back in that day, it was a penny a candy.
Okay.
And squirrel nut zippers and
Yeah,
fireballs.
pull your fillings right out.
And root beer
Fantastic.
barrels. Yeah, were a big thing. So,
Yeah. So a few more current things before we get too far into our topic for today. So I got a new gun.
yeah, I see that, Paul.
I bought a
nice looking
got
guy.
a 550 Remington 552.
Yeah.
So basically it mimics my 7400. So I don't have to spend piles of money
Spend
going through
$30 for 20 shots
to go
with
shoot.
it. Yeah,
I can just shoot a bunch of 22.
exactly.
Less recoil,
Yeah.
quieter, easier down back, and I don't
Yeah.
feel so guilty shooting it a lot.
Yeah,
Don't have to worry about wearing out my 7400 either.
right.
Let them rip.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found a really nice one. I got to give props to Steve Watson for that. He found a guy that was looking to get rid of one, and it looks brand new.
Yeah. So
It's
was the guy local, Paul, that you?
No, he was from Friendship, Maine.
Okay.
There was 2 of them. One was from Booth Bay.
Yeah.
One was from Friendship. And
They mail it up to you? Or they,
no, he came up here.
Oh, no
to
kidding.
do some stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we connected, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's in mint condition.
Yeah. It's a nice looking guy
Nice
for sure.
gun. The other thing, and I know you probably heard it. Did you hear the legislator in the state of Maine trying to restrict coyote hunting? more
Yes,
in
I did.
northern Maine?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
No, I have to be honest. Anything on the news and politics, I'm very far
yeah.
removed from.
I'll pl-
Blissfully unaware.
I'll play it right now.
Yeah.
So it was Nina Milliken, a representative
Mm.
down in Blue Hill. So what got me thinking about it today is this was a couple weeks ago, at least she showed me. So I'm sitting in my living room looking at, 18 deer or whatever down back. And yeah, she got up and spoke, and she doesn't believe deer don't live in northern Maine.
Right.
Oh,
So
Right.
therefore there's no point in coyote hunting.
Yeah.
I'll play it for you.
We do not have a shortage of deer anywhere in the state except for up north, where, as I understand it, deer don't naturally spend their time anyway.
Deer up north, when you talked about way up north, whereas you understand that deer don't naturally spend their time. Could you perhaps expound on where you found that out or who told you
I've
that?
spoken with a couple of people, and I've just heard that they don't typically go as far north. I've heard there's some concern that there aren't deer populations up in northern Aroostook County and parts of the county. And my understanding from having spoken with some folks is that they wouldn't go up there even if we were to limit coyote hunting.
Okay.
Like it's not the coyote, I guess, that's precluding them from going to those areas.
I
They
see.
naturally don't go there.
So deer naturally don't go there.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder. So you sit there and think about that. You're like, all right, you're making laws in this state. You couldn't take 5 seconds to just a couple clicks of a button to see what's reality.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here watching 18 deer go across my yard, and I'm like, well, some state
They
reps
didn't get the memo.
don't think that deer travel here.
Yeah.
Must be a vacation spot for
Yeah.
them, and they've now changed their behaviors.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
all you have to do is drive down a road and see watch for deer signs everywhere
Oh my
up
God,
here.
I know.
I don't think we just put them up for fun.
So that's how uninformed
Right.
a lot of these
Yeah.
anti-hunters are. They
Right.
just like
It's
you're
crazy.
you're making our laws, and you just can't take a second to figure
Yeah.
out what's accurate.
And I know kind of where she's coming from because the deer population, we are on the northern fringe of
We
we've
are.
talked about that in other podcasts, Paul.
We are.
We're on the northern fringe of where deer can survive.
Yep.
And the problem with that is before the coyote in let's say the 50s, our deer kill a number of years was in the 40 to high 30,000 range.
Yeah.
In northern Maine. Well, in Maine, excuse me. With most of those coming from the northern half of the state.
Okay.
And now, like in 2024, the deer kill was around 42,000, with the majority of those coming from the southern half of the state
Yeah.
now. So we used to have a robust deer population in the 50s and 60s.
We
And
did.
If you look at that was the time when there was either very few or no coyotes up here.
Yeah.
So they definitely have had an impact on our population.
But the past 2 years have been great, and it's coming back.
It's been better. Yes, it has.
It's
easier winter.
oh my God.
Yeah.
So did you guys see any
Yeah.
deer coming out the interstate?
Yeah, I actually, I saw a ton. So probably between Freeport and Bangor, I would at any point in time look out the window and there would be a ton out
No kidding.
in the fields.
All
Yeah,
right.
I wasn't keeping a sharp eye out, but I probably saw 15 plus on the way, just
Okay.
all kind of grouped together in fields.
Yeah.
There was a bunch.
But there's no deer up here.
None.
No.
0.
They don't travel up here.
No, they don't travel. It must have been the whole change in flights from.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't get the JetBlue memo.
Yeah. Well, like I say, the problem with the little information is she's I know where she was trying to go with that we are on the northern
Yeah.
northern edge of where deer can live.
Yeah.
And
Probably though, if you're gonna make a statement like that, you probably should have a little bit of ammunition in your back pocket.
right. Well, like I say,
To stand on.
sometimes the little information is
I heard it
is
from a
a bad
friend.
thing.
Heard it on Facebook. Must be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like in medicine, right? You know, just enough to be dangerous,
Yeah.
That's right.
but not enough to
Hey.
make an informed decision.
Yeah.
That's a good segue right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll get out of the some of the political
Realm.
stuff, and we'll jump in. Britt, what's your background?
Oh boy. Well, currently, I work in medicine. I'm a double board certified physician in family medicine and obesity medicine. I really, I'm passionate about like preventive wellness, healthcare.
And
those
you
types of
love the
things.
outdoors.
And I love the outdoors.
Yeah, I grew up doing it.
Oh yeah.
Bird
From
hunting?
that background standpoint, yes. Grew up with you guys from a young age, going outdoors,
So-
hunting, fishing, camping,
Yeah.
you name it.
So I've got some old pictures that we'll include because back when I was old enough to work harvest, so October was busy, especially during the beginning of bird season. I'd be out working harvest. You were kind of dad's hunting buddy.
Heck yeah.
So there's a bunch of pictures of just you bird hunting with dad, listening to him suck on fireballs and cinnamon candy and shooting a bunch of birds. I'm sorry. We pick on each other a lot. So
Yeah.
we're not just all picking on dad.
No, I'm sure there's plenty to pick on me about.
Oh, we will. Probably might be an argument or two before this is over with. So,
I mean, why not?
yeah. As long as it doesn't get physical.
All in a day.
Yeah. And then Anthony, we got brother-in-law here.
We
He
have
can-
brother-in-law Mo in the corner.
Yeah, he can break us up. He's a good bouncer.
He's
He's
a good
guy to have
bouncer.
around. So we'll get into the nitty gritty.
I love it.
We get an expert here to help us along the ways. But so nature's always been my therapy.
Yeah.
That's been my, like, you kind of get away from the 9 to 5 and it always hits reset. So anytime you start getting kind of high strung and stressed out with
Mm-hmm.
life crap, like nature's been my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
And it, unfortunately, it seems to be lesser of a thing because people are
Mhm.
spending more time, desk jobs,
Mm-hmm.
you got tech, you got a pile of stuff vying for your time. And it's hard. I see it in my friends. It's harder and harder to get them out to do stuff because it's too easy just to
Yeah.
sit at home and play video games.
Right.
Yeah.
Or,
Get on.
whatever else. And it's a shame. So like we've talked about on here, and Dad has mentioned too, it's kind of weird. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but like, let's say, you spend so much time working,
Mm-hmm.
kind of doing, you spend a lot of, even with your line of work, probably spend a lot of time behind a screen.
All day.
Charts.
All day. I'm
Yeah.
up at 5:30 in the morning. I hop in the shower really quick, and at 6 a.m. I'm pre-charting for my day, which technically starts at 8 a.m. So I'm in front of a screen from 6 a.m. I see my last patient around 4:30, and I'm usually charting till 5 or just after 5. And that
Yeah.
is spent 100% in front of a screen.
So do you
Unfortunately.
take any breaks from the day from
No.
it? Or is it pretty well?
No, I work through lunch.
It's just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the body's not really designed for that.
Not
day
at
in
all.
and day out.
Not at all. No.
And you do that all day long. And then, I don't know, you get in, it's almost like you get like a pseudo ADHD or something.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like your brain is just like, it won't shut off.
right.
And so the weirdest thing happens for me, like during deer season, the first day or two that I'm out deer hunting, it's almost like I get kind of disoriented. You get in the woods and now you're no longer
Yeah.
like looking at stuff up close.
Quiet.
You got all this sensory input, wind,
Yeah.
the smells, I almost get kind of dizzy. Some might say an out of body experience. Like,
I think Dad has that when he's in the city with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Just
When
a
I'm-
different.
dissociate.
Yeah.
when I'm around a lot of people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's weird. So
Same thing.
I get like the first 2 or 3 days, it takes me a
Yeah.
while to acclimate.
Totally.
And then I'm like kind of in the zone
Yeah.
after that. But it's
Yeah.
weird.
I think your body has to come down, right? There's a lot of good. I don't know how deep you want me to go into some of this. There's a lot
Well,
of
we
good
won't get
evidence.
too
No, I won't get too crazy.
scientific,
with
but we'll
the
go as
scientific.
deep as you want to
But there's a lot of good evidence out there that shows when we are kind of living these go lifestyles with screens in front of us, right? Your body's in this like higher intensity state, this higher stress state.
almost like fight or flight.
100%. And your cortisol levels, right? The stress hormone tends to run high. And you don't get these kind of normal fluctuations of like good stress and then relaxation. You're just kind of constantly running at this high stress state with these high stress levels in your body. And that 100% affects every part of our health.
Yeah.
It affects your mental well-being, your physical well-being. And so I think when folks then are taken out of that state and then now they're put into a state that is not so high energy, not so full of stimulus all the time, your brain and your body kind of has to take a minute to think like,
It's almost like
Oh.
reprogram.
yeah, like I can relax
Yeah.
and I can kind of come down from this high chronic stress level state that I've been kind of used to functioning in
Yeah.
and having that be the normal, right? And it's not the normal. It should not be our normal.
No. And it's something that I've always, as you get older, you kind of start to realize it more. Like you enjoy hunting and fishing, but then you start to realize, or hiking or whatever it is you do outside, but then you start to realize like, there's an actual benefit
Oh, yeah.
from physical
Yeah.
to your mood,
Yeah.
your mental, cognitive
Yeah.
functioning, increases your focus, does all
Yeah.
kinds of
Yeah.
great stuff. And
Not to get all woo-woo real quick, but there's this thing called forest bathing.
Oh, really?
It's called forest bathing. And I think you guys are actually doing kind of a version of that. So forest
Probably.
bathing is this, I think it's a Japanese concept. And it's where you go
Sounds
out.
kind of woke. I'm kidding.
I said woo-woo. It's this concept where you go out into nature. And there's actually, again, been studies on this. You go out into nature and you're using all 5 senses, right? Sight, hearing, touch, smell. I'm not sure how we'd incorporate taste in there, but they have found that folks
Have
who,
a nice cup of coffee. while you're doing it.
yeah, folks who go out into nature and do exactly what you're talking about, right? And I think you guys do this when you're hunting. You're out there, you're listening, you're watching, you're immersed in nature. This has actually been shown by like salivary cortisol levels to lower those stress hormones.
No kidding.
Which decreases your risk for metabolic syndromes like diabetes,
Yep.
pre-diabetes, metabolic syndrome. Decreases risk for cognitive decline. It keeps your brain sharper. Improves mood, depression, anxiety, things like that. They have found that, going into nature and really taking that experience in and disconnecting from the higher stress world and all of that stimuli really protects your body, your brain, your
That's
mind.
excellent. That's basically everything I'd had written down here when I was just
I beat
thinking.
you to it.
I know. I was thinking yesterday morning. You basically hit all of them.
And we don't do it enough. You know,
No.
I tell, whenever I see someone in my clinic, I kind of feel bad for them because I give them the thickest handout at the end. That is all about like diet, exercise, getting out into nature, how that's good for you. And I know it's hard for people. Lives are busy.
That's the biggest disconnect for me is because you can tell someone till you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
But to get someone motivated to actually, because you got to be intentional now about it.
100%.
Like we don't live a hunter-gatherer lifestyle anymore.
No.
So it's not our way of living to survive. We don't have to do this stuff to survive.
Correct.
It's now like, I got to be intentional about
It's purposeful.
getting outside and doing this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even I had written down enhanced social connections.
Yeah.
Because you think of all the memories and all the great things, the bonds that you form with different
100%.
people when you do this stuff. Like you and Anthony do a ton of skiing.
Yeah.
And hiking.
Mm-hmm.
And you're big into motorcycles. That's Anthony's passion.
Yeah. I mean, one of the ways we get outdoors is with an engine under us.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if it's a dirt bike, doesn't matter if it's a street motorcycle, doesn't matter if it's a boat, you name it. We do enjoy our power sports, but
I think Anthony has a motorcycle problem. How many does he own?
I think we're at 9.
Oh my God.
Three of them are mine.
All right.
So I will own 3 of them.
That's an odd number. You need more.
9
Yeah.
does not feel, well,
Nope.
Here's the thing. You want to come build us a garage so we can put more
No,
in?
I'm good.
I think we're running out of space.
Yeah.
I was going to try and say the actual Japanese name for forest bathing, but I cannot. I don't know how to say it.
So was it forest bathing?
Forest bathing. It's when you just go out
Yeah.
and your sole
immersed
purpose
in-
is to
yeah.
just be mindful in the forest and take it all in.
Yeah.
And scientifically, it does improve health and objectively improves health and well-being. You can.
So I was doing that a few years ago, and Paul was younger and he was more aggressive in hunting. You wanted to deer hunt. You wanted to shoot a deer. But
Yeah,
I was the type of guy, I was taking in things around me. So if I saw a track of a pine marten or something, I may want to follow that out, And
I think that's something that comes with age.
Yeah.
Because I find myself doing it more now.
exactly.
Like I say now I get kind of sidetracked.
Right.
Like I'll be tracking a deer or
But-
doing
Mhm.
something. And then I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool over there.
So I may go over and look
And
at
then
a
you're
piece
like,
of,
I'm not even freaking deer hunting right now.
yeah. I may go over and look at a piece of chaga or,
Yeah, you do have a
see-
problem with chaga.
Yeah, I spot chaga.
We'll be walking, all of a
yeah.
sudden he's wandering off in the woods. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, a big piece of chaga here. I got to mark that.
Yeah.
And I don't think you ever go back in and
Do you
Yeah.
mark it on
Well,
your GPS?
a lot of times I'll put them on the
it
GPS
is.
and I will. Some of them are just too far off the beaten path to,
or way up.
yeah,
hard
or
to get
yeah,
to.
10
You
or
should-
15 feet up.
You should carry a little satchel, a little bag that you can
Well,
just
then you
hack
get-
it off.
Yeah, but the whole process of taking it off the tree. And like Paul said, a lot of times it may be 12 or 15 feet up, and it's just
and there goes a big buck walking by where you're whacking off a chunk of chaga.
Yeah, so I can remember not that long ago, Paul would be out hunting, and I'd get distracted by a lot of stuff on the periphery.
Yeah.
And
it used to kind of annoy me.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
Like,
but now you're, like you say, you're doing it as you get older. And
Like,
we take in more things.
Mm-hmm.
We want to see everything, and we want to know, why or whatever, how this happened, or
Yeah. So back to the cognitive function. So I was just thinking about that. So when you're deer tracking, you're doing something like that, you're problem solving the whole time.
Yeah.
And you're just doing it without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But it really enhances your critical thinking skills.
100%.
Doing stuff like that, because you're sitting there going, okay, what's my next plan of action? What get a plan ahead a little bit, have some foresight.
You're building scenarios in your head of what could happen down the road, where the deer's going to go, what he's going to do.
And it's kind of an emotional roller coaster. Things don't work out the way you plan, and then you're ticked at yourself.
And then the forest causes stress.
Most of the time,
That's right.
They don't work out the way
you're wrapping your gun around a tree.
Yeah.
Then you're financially ruined because you just ruined your. No.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword.
One would argue that's good stress.
Yeah.
Oh, not all stress is bad.
That's right.
That's right. Some stress is good.
So, yeah, and I think so. Something I'm glad you bring that up with your patients, because as a whole, it's something that healthcare misses.
Big time. Yeah, modern Western medicine. I think the pendulum swung too far, right? Where we were on this track of it's all about prolonging lives with medications. I mean, this. You're a pharmacist.
Just give them a drug,
right? Yeah.
And it's like,
and I think we've seen that. Yes, we have extended lives. We can treat disease better than ever when disease shows up, but we are terrible at preventing disease.
what's your quality of life?
Right. We are terrible at preventing disease. And I think now, and it's part of the reason I chose to specialize in obesity medicine, is it's really about regaining your health, right? I love nothing more than being able to take someone off a medication because they have improved their lifestyle, improved their health through diet, exercise, weight loss. And so when I can take meds away, I enjoy that far more than putting meds on.
And I agree with that 100%. And I think people get the idea that because I deal in the world of drugs, that more drugs are better.
Right.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, no. Yeah. If you can be on zero.
Oh, that's the goal. That's the goal. So I try
and profiling.
Yeah, I try and give my patients as many tools as possible to improve their health, foundationally improve their health. Now, do I occasionally use medications or frequently use medications to augment that? I do, depending on the scenario, right? Ideally, we try not to, but sometimes we do need assistance, and
sometimes people just don't. They just want a med.
100%. I see that a lot too.
Look at something as simple as like treating acid reflux. You get kind of the bottom of it. Well, what's causing it? And they tell you what's causing it. Like, well, stop doing it. No, I want to take the med.
We had that conversation this morning at the house. We were talking about GI upset and hot girl tummy.
Hot girl tummy. Yeah, I love that analogy.
We were talking about hot girl tummy issues and or just anybody with stomach issues. A lot of the stuff I see in general practice, right, is acid reflux, constipation issues, irritable bowel syndrome, things that can really, really be easily managed with a clean diet and physical activity.
Kind of just hit reset.
Yeah,
reset
yeah.
Your
And
system.
it's not overnight, right? But it's really hard to convince people that making that lifestyle change and committing to it can really improve their symptoms.
Well, the problem is, so I was thinking about this too the other day, is it's not about being on such a restrictive diet.
No.
It's just about being consistently good, like most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you kind of get on the right path with things, and it's the little things that come together to make a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see too many people that they do a lot of stuff they shouldn't be doing all the time, and then they want to get healthy and they go on some like crazy diet or starve themselves for 3 days.
Yeah.
And There's nothing wrong with having a piece of cake
No.
or ice cream or
Right.
I had some
taking a day and not working out.
I had
Just
some Sour
vegging
Patch
out.
Kids last night on the
Oh,
way up.
gosh.
Not gonna lie.
I'd go into a coma. I
Hit
think.
Holton, needed something. King size Sour Patch Kid. Didn't need them all.
No
but
burgers?
No
It's like,
burgers on the way up. But to your point, hold on. What was it that you just
We're
said?
just talking about being consistent. It's
Oh,
all the little
consistency.
things that cumulatively add
Yes, yes. When
huge
I
benefit.
when I was doing my training to get my board certification in obesity medicine, they actually talked about fad diets, right? And the evidence behind folks that do like ketogenic diets, the carnivore
Yeah.
diet, vegan, vegetarianism, you name it. Low carb, which is basically keto.
It's not rocket science.
It's none of them. There's no evidence that any one of them is a superior for like weight management, health, anything
Yeah.
like that. And they're very hard to maintain in the long term.
It's
It's
not
just, it's
practical.
not sustainable.
You're right.
And so I am a big fan. There's great evidence about like Mediterranean style eating, which is
Yeah.
what I call it. I don't like to call things a diet because the minute someone hears the word diet, it's like, oh gosh, there are rules and I have to follow these rules.
Yes.
It's more of a style, and it's exactly what you said. It's making these small changes and incorporating things into your everyday life, and then not beating yourself up and completely coming off the rails and feeling like you've somehow failed and you stop all of your efforts if you have a piece of cake,
No.
if you have a glass of wine, if you have half a bag of Sour Patch Kids, you know?
Did you have half a bag on the way out?
Probably.
Probably.
I also stopped at Sam Italian's Foods in
Oh my word.
Augusta, and I got a tuna wrap.
I'm wondering how you guys get up here that fast.
Talk to the guy in
I
the
was gonna
corner
say,
driving the
that
truck.
goes pretty fast, doesn't it?
Woo!
Oh, he went the speed limit
With
the whole
all
way.
those stops.
Five under the speed limit the whole way.
500. Okay.
500.
Just have that little margin of safety there. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. It's really consistency. And the thing is, like you said, none of it is really rocket science, right? I feel like we make it so hard. Medicine makes things so confusing. Social media makes things so confusing for people because it makes it sound like you have to be doing X, Y, Z. There is no margin for error. If
Very
you're,
regimented.
if you're not doing it this way, you will be unsuccessful
You're
and this is
bad.
wrong. And it's not. And we have, unfortunately, at least in America as a society, we've really lost like normal eating, normal behavioral patterns, the normalcy of going outside, right? It all just feels so foreign to us now.
Yep.
And I really do think that's the basis and root of why America as a population is so sick overall.
Look at video footage from like the 40s and 50s
Everybody's fit.
versus now, and they didn't eat. They weren't like cognizantly saying, "I'm not eating this" or "I'm
No.
eating this." Or
Well, they didn't have
They're
a
living
lot of
life.
the food we have.
Well, that's just it, right? The food
They-
supply was
yeah,
different.
They
They
ate home
didn't
cooked
have it.
food all the time.
The food supply has changed drastically.
So
and
I get to see that. I get to live it. I mean, I was born in the 50s, and I was a child in the 60s and stuff,
Yeah.
and we didn't have soda and chips available on a daily basis.
yeah.
It just didn't exist. So I mean, there was soda, but it wasn't we couldn't afford to have soda in the house, or families were bigger. You couldn't afford to give 4 or 6 kids.
But I was discussing that yesterday with somebody.
Yeah.
We got talking about the large families back then because we
Right.
got on the topic of poaching
Yeah.
a little bit, and it had come up that back in the day, it was a lot of it was out of necessity.
Absolutely.
You had a lot of families with 12, 14 mouths to feed.
Yeah.
And
And
Like-
incomes weren't what they are today.
No.
There was single family incomes. So the wife was usually a stay-at-home mom, and money was tight.
yeah,
I think you made an interesting point though, Dad. You said back then people couldn't afford
No.
those
Yeah.
foods. Now those are the cheapest foods out there.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
those are the foods that folks
Right. No, it's
are
much
feeding
more
their large
available.
families
Yeah.
with. So
Yeah.
it's interesting how there's been that switch.
Yeah.
And how do you come back from that?
yeah. Well, companies have figured out how to capitalize on that,
Right.
make money on that,
Right.
big time.
Which one of the things I love about kind of what you guys do, and I appreciate hunting and growing up fishing, hunting, man, there's no better source of protein
No.
than a wild.
It's the best
and
quality.
we use a lot of it too.
The
Yeah.
moose meat you've given me,
Yeah.
oh, we love it. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And there's also the satisfaction that comes from when you harvest an animal
Yeah.
and then you consume it. There's a real
Right.
satisfaction being like, I provided this for myself.
Yeah.
One might call that farm to table.
That's right.
Yeah.
You might call that.
Or woods to table.
Do you imply I deer hunt on farms?
To say what?
Do you imply I deer hunt on farms?
Marty Stauffer?
I'm a heart Marty Wild America.
You setting these things
When I
up?
was a kid, you sit there and watch that and you'd be like, gosh, how does he get all this stuff on
That's
camera?
Lynx chasing a
Man.
rabbit. I mean,
Marty
how often
Stauffer is
He's
good.
How would you ever
awesome.
see that? You know?
Yeah.
Turns out it was a hoax.
Consistently.
Yeah.
We used to love that show.
Yeah, when you're 10, you don't really connect those dots very well.
No.
As you get older, you're like, that's not
Yeah,
real.
you get a lot of practical experience in the woods, and you know these things just don't happen that often for us to see. So, yeah,
Oh my
the
gosh.
light bulb goes off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So one
But-
blaring thing that had kind of bothered me, and I think with a lot of people in healthcare back during the pandemic, is you get a lot of quote unquote healthcare professionals telling you to do different things that didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So like one of the things was like the whole stay inside lockdown.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, wait, you're outside in the fresh air, distance from everybody, a nice breeze, the sun's out, you're getting vitamin D,
Mm-hmm.
you're boosting your immune system, you're boosting your emotional health,
Yeah.
but don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the logic behind that we have now seen has had detrimental
Oh my
effects.
God.
The amount of mental health issues since that time
It was so
due to
backwards.
isolation and not having that social connection, really not getting outside now. The stress over all of it, not understanding
They're
what's happening.
Closing down parks,
Yeah.
right?
Which is
Closing them down.
the best place where you could
But you-
honestly put people.
But you can go down to the liquor store.
right.
Yeah.
It's like, how does that make sense?
Yeah, it's I remember so we were living in Washington at the time when things shut down, and we actually tried to go to a local state park in Yakima, and it was like
Safest place you could be.
absolutely not. There was no one out there.
Healthiest place to be.
We just wanted
Hands
to go
down.
out for a walk. We were tired of not being able to do anything. You couldn't go out in society anymore. So we were like, well, let's just go for a hike. Completely shut down.
Yeah.
Do not pass this bridge, all gated up. And I was like,
We will arrest you.
gosh, like this is where people should be.
Right.
Here's an opportunity. Let's
Yeah.
get people outside. And now I think personally we royally kind of missed the boat on that one.
But you sit there and you wonder, like, how? Like, so many people are smart. How the heck do you
Boy, I
drop
mean,
the ball on that one?
Yeah.
Because anyone with common sense can sit there and go, this is not making it. This
Yeah.
doesn't add up.
yeah. I
And
don't know.
So you almost wondered, sometimes you're like, not to go down this rabbit hole, but like, was it done on purpose? Was there some intent behind there?
I don't know. I like to try and think. I'm not much of an optimist sometimes. I think we probably
I
know
know.
this about me.
Kind of think the worst.
I'm a little bit of a cynic and a skeptic. But I like to think that people really maybe had the best intentions, but maybe just aren't as smart as they think they are.
Right.
Maybe they really felt like, I do think that folks really felt strongly like this was the best thing to do. All of these restrictions, not going outside, was the safest. I'm going to use air quotes under the camera for that. But I think they had the best intentions. I just think that they were ill-advised and people were panicking and
Touch. Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe
it goes
in-
back to like that gal that said deer don't live up here, right?
I
So you have
The
people
very-
making decisions for the masses who
are clueless.
you're like, where are you getting your information?
Yeah.
How heavily have we scrutinized this information? Or,
Or
it's so
scrutinized
multifactorial.
or even thought about it at all.
Yeah, it's so multifactorial. And I like to think that people had, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Let's just put it that way. I think that's what we saw.
Or you just follow the money.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
It's also lined with dollar bills.
That's right. Everything in this world seems to be revolve around.
The almighty dollar.
Yeah. How can I make a buck? So that kind of brings me back. One thing I wanted to talk about is vitamin D.
Yeah.
Because we live in the northern hemisphere, and I'm a big proponent of vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one misconception with vitamin D is, and it's a struggle in northern Maine because we
Don't get a lot of sunshine.
well, it's not just that. When you live in the northern hemisphere,
Yeah.
in order for your body to produce vitamin D, because
Mm-hmm.
actually technically vitamin D is a hormone
Mm-hmm.
versus a vitamin, but to produce vitamin D, the sun has to be at a certain angle in the
Right.
sky.
Mm-hmm.
And actually in the wintertime up here, it never gets high enough
Mm-hmm.
to produce vitamin D. You'll read like evidence that'll say it needs to be above 30 degrees. Some will say at 45 degrees. The best rule of thumb that I use is like if you're outside and your shadow is the height of you or shorter, you can produce vitamin D.
Oh, interesting.
Right? That's 45-degree angle.
I did not know that.
So if your shadow is longer than you are tall, then the sun's too low to produce vitamin D.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend supplementation to?
Yeah,
You're-
I mean, especially like you said in the northern hemispheres where it's tough to get, right? It's kind of interesting. The way I was trained is they don't recommend like routine screening of vitamin D just across the board. That's not a recommendation that's out there. But vitamin D is linked to so many important health effects.
Your immune system?
Oh my gosh. The health of your bones, mental health, your
Yeah.
immune system. I mean, you name it. It's
Yeah.
it's an important thing.
Anti-inflammatory?
100%.
Metabolic health and
help
everything.
prevent
100%.
cancer?
And so I will say I deviate from the recommendations to not screen people. I don't screen everyone, I would say, but when folks have fatigue, when they just have mental health concerns, there's depression, there's anxiety, there's you name it. I tend to want to screen people, and most people are either
Deficient.
insufficient or flat out very deficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I am frequently putting people on vitamin D. And so I would say just based on what I see in my clinical practice, I don't think there's any harm for someone just starting a supplementation daily.
I do it every winter.
Yeah.
Brother-in-law Mo does it.
Yeah. So how many IUs would you recommend?
I usually give people, if they're taking it daily, I usually do 5,000.
Yeah, I take in because some of the influencers that I have that I've watched and stuff, they recommend way more than the
They're probably also
RDA.
selling a supplement.
Well, they are, but they
Like
just,
I recommend taking
I take
tons of this, and by the
20,000
way, buy
IUs.
my
I
vitamin
take 2
D.
pills a day, 10,000
Yeah.
apiece IUs.
If you are going to take that high of a dose, I would probably just make sure occasionally you get your levels checked. I have seen
Yeah.
what we call hypervitaminosis D in folks, which is not good, right? Vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin, so it tends to want to
ADE and K.
stay. It tends to want to stay in your body. So when folks are deficient, truly deficient, less than 20, when I take a measurement, the recommendation is 50,000 weekly.
Yeah,
Right.
I take 20,000.
50,000
a day.
weekly
Yeah.
for 8 weeks, and then you drop down to maintenance dosing. So if you're going to take 20,000 a day, it's definitely on the high end.
Yeah.
You might want to just
Yeah.
make sure that levels look
And then,
Okay.
you're right. Fat soluble vitamins. Getting on those real quick.
So K2, would that be?
that's also fat soluble.
I don't care for the supplement industry because it's a huge industry,
I like some of it.
and I think a lot of it's weight, especially when you get into. So I always, with my patients, I was always worried about if they're taking fat soluble vitamins. 'Cause that's you're basically, if everything else is working fine, if you take another vitamin, a water soluble, you're just gonna pass it.
Pee it out.
You're just wasting your money.
That's why you got neon urine.
You
when
ever
take
taken a B
B12.
complex?
Yeah.
Right? Smells like freaking Kellogg's cereal in the toilet. It's like
Got fruity pebbles.
it's all that thiamine and stuff. So like people would be, taking a lot of that stuff. I'm like, you're just peeing out your money.
Right. I do that.
We just kind of like, focus it on what do you need.
Yeah.
But yeah, fat soluble vitamins can be a risk.
I haven't seen it often, but I've seen it probably twice.
It's funny, and I haven't kept up on it. A few years ago, I had read an article where a guy, and I think I actually have the article saved, where he actually had, and I think it was in like the New England Journal of Medicine. I want to say he had there was no actual documented case of serious adverse events from high vitamin D. Like physical effects. I can't substantiate that. I just remember coming across reading that and thinking, that's interesting. Have you ever seen any issues?
So yeah, where I've seen it the most, right? Vitamin D, calcium levels, all of them, right?
Yeah, then
they're all influenced.
Because it enhances calcium absorption.
I frequently, shockingly so, in the population where I'm working now. I did not see this in Washington, which is interesting because we're almost on the same latitude. And I don't know if vitamin D is to blame. I can't say, it's that whole correlation causation thing. I see a lot of patients with hypercalcemia. And their endocrinologist is frequently being like, well, we need to back down on some of the supplements that you're taking. And so I see it from that standpoint. Is that endocrine kind of metabolic effect where people who are taking vitamin D, things like that, can see alterations in their calcium and other labs that can be problematic probably if left unchecked long term. So that's why I say it's always good just to kind of get some lab work done, make sure that we're not altering other things that potentially could be detrimental. But I've never seen anything major happen.
Wintertime, and I stick with D3. That's the more active form of vitamin D.
That's what I take.
Because it has to be, so it gets converted in the body to calcitriol, which is the active form, through the liver and then the kidneys. I take 2,000 to 4,000 a day, depending on how I feel. So I've got 2,000 unit vitamin D3 capsules, and I'll take one, sometimes two.
I think the reason I do 5 is I'm very inconsistent.
I mean, I am too. I don't know why. Some days I'll take one, some days I'll take 2. I don't know if I'm just sitting there.
I'll skip a few days, take one, take it consistently, forget about it for a while. So,
but one app that's good is there's an app called D-Minder. And what it does is it basically tells you at what time you put in your location. And it tells you at what times, because you only need 15 minutes of sunlight.
Maybe. I honestly don't know. 15
minutes to get your daily dose of vitamin D from the sun. But
how much skin exposure do you have
that's
to have
another thing,
right?
So you put that in there too. That's right. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. But yeah, you can put the surface area, your skin type, because it's going to vary.
Like your Fitzpatrick type?
Exactly. Ooh. Yeah, nice. So yeah, your skin type, and then where you are, and it will tell you at what point in the day you can produce vitamin D.
Oh, I like it.
And come December 21st, shortest day of the year, you're not going to go outside and get vitamin D.
No.
At all.
Right.
It's just the sun's not high enough.
Well, I'm at work.
Yeah, that's right. Most of us are inside anyway.
I'm getting fluorescent lighting.
Up here. Yeah, so it'll tell you what hours to be outside and what,
I'll need to get that from you because I can put that in my after visit summary.
You can also,
and
I don't do this because I don't know my levels, but you can put in your vitamin D levels.
Oh, interesting.
And how much you need to be getting to get it to where you want to go. I'm not sure how accurate all that is, but I do buy into basically, because it's a simple, you can get on probably NOAA or any sort of weather meteorological site and figure out at what time of year, what angle the sun is over where you're at. I'm sure solar system companies have that data.
Interesting. Yeah.
Really good because they're always trying to position their
it's all about
solar arrays according to
Right.
where the sun is in the sky.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that app out.
Yeah. We live in a weird spot. So wintertime can be, rough.
Yeah. Even just coming from Massachusetts up here, holy, what a
lot
change.
Colder, isn't it?
Woo! It's 50 down where I live right now.
No kidding.
Sunny. You can get outside. Yeah. Came up here.
13 degrees. Yeah.
So let's talk about some hunting stories.
Oh boy.
We'll skip on to
Cue Confederate Railroad. Alexa,
We hit on that the
Alexa?
last podcast.
Alexa, play Confederate Railroad.
Thank God
Trashy
Alexa
women.
Alexa does not live in here.
Yeah.
My favorite hunting song.
Yeah, didn't Mom love that when you guys came back from a
There's nothing like
Day
a
of
little
bird hunting.
blonde grade school girl coming home and singing about how she likes her women on the trashy side.
Mom
on
goes,
the trashy side.
"What are you saying?"
I was the pride and joy of this family.
Dad played that song.
I didn't play it. It was on the radio. I have no control what they
This
put
was
on
not
the radio
purposeful.
out there.
Boy, did I mop that up like a sponge.
Yeah, you did.
Favorite song.
You were the type that you knew if it was bad,
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold on to that.
A little bit of
I
a rebel
loved it.
there, I think,
Yeah.
Paul.
So you did.
Nothing's changed.
You did mostly bird hunting. You should shoot a
I
pile
have
of birds.
Only done bird hunting. I love it. I would like, now that I'm living back in this area, I'd like to go.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
you
guys
guys can
just-
take me every now and then.
You guys just bought an adventure van.
We did. We have
Bring that
a
up here.
Sprinter camper van now.
Yeah.
So Anthony, brother-in-law Mo, enjoys bird hunting. He had done some
We're gonna break that
quail or
baby
pheasant
in.
hunting, I think, in Washington. And yeah, we'd love to come up and
It'll be fun.
shoot some birdies.
So, any memorable moments?
Oh my God, so
There's
many.
a lot, but anything that stands out?
Gosh. I think the things that stand out most to me, like I couldn't tell you like how many birds I shot in a day. I couldn't tell you any of that stuff.
Hopefully, it's only 4.
It's I'm sure it
Well,
was.
we were allowed 8. There was 2 of
Oh,
us.
okay.
Yeah.
So, does it really matter who shot him?
I just have the best memories of waking up early, right? Sun's not up yet.
Yeah.
And oftentimes missing school. Dad and mom would let me
We always
maybe
skip school.
skip
for the
a
first
day of
bird
school.
season.
Yep. And getting all, I had my,
You learned more in that one day than you did the entire year at school.
oh my gosh, well, yeah, probably in some ways, right?
Trashy women right
You
there.
and I, it's gotten me so far in life. You and I always had like a fresh blaze orange hooded
Yeah.
sweatshirt, right? I remember a blaze orange hat that was way too big for me that I think had an embroidered deer on it that you had gotten somewhere that
I don't
I
remember the hat.
used to
Was it at a
wear.
hunter's breakfast, maybe? 'Cause
Probably.
remember, we used to do those.
Love the hunter's breakfast. But the best memories I have are honestly just riding around in the truck with you guys.
Yeah. Eating snacks.
Eating snacks, eating candy, the thrill.
Listening to the radio.
Listening to the radio, Reba, Brooks and Dunn,
Yeah, Brooks and Dunn were big at that time.
George Strait, all the 90s. I actually have a 90s country
I do
station
too.
that I'll listen
Do you know how
to.
many people? So we brought that up last time. You know how many people commented on that or sent emails like the same
Yeah.
thing, the same group of songs.
It's like deja vu. You put it on and you are
Takes you right back.
just like Kenny Chesney would say.
Kenny
Takes you
Chesney.
back,
Yeah.
right? But I just remember being on, what is it, the Golden Road? Did we go up there?
I don't think we were ever on the Golden Road, Reality Road.
Reality
That's
Road,
the one.
yeah.
Yes, Reality Road.
And the Pinkham Road were the 2 roads.
Yes,
if you went up in the
yes.
North Maine woods, that was,
Yes.
of course, those were the 2 roads, the main arteries up
And
there. Everybody went on them.
Our typical thing was we just do a loop.
Right.
Yeah.
We go up the Reality Road, cut across Churchill
Churchill
Dam,
Dam Road.
come back down the Pinkham.
Yeah.
There was no better thrill as a kid than harvesting a bird and then being able to, I really remember, I really enjoyed, and Dad was a big proponent of, kind of the science and education around some of this as well. We'd open the stomachs up,
Yeah.
look at what they had eaten.
Yeah.
We would really kind of evaluate the bird in general. It was interesting, right? It was so educational for a kid. But just being with you guys and doing that stuff was so fun. And I have to say, I always got the best thrill of shooting more birds than Zachary Worcester.
That's right.
Zach was a pretty good hunter.
Zach was a good hunter.
There was always some competition there.
But he and I, when the trucks would meet up, it
Yeah.
was always who had gotten more.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't on a lot of those trips
You
because I
weren't.
was hunting. I was working.
Yeah.
But I remember there's a picture of all you guys. You had excellent bird hunting. You're down cleaning birds along the stream. And
Moose, not Moose Look, it was Musquecook.
yeah, and Zach, I think
Yeah,
that was the year he got a
Musquecook
new
stream.
pump shotgun.
Yeah.
And but I was telling Lacey the story last night because you talk about the science part of things because my kids are the same way. We actually had to take a partridge away from Lydia one time when she was little because she was like basically like it was sitting in the back of the truck and she's going through all the nails and the
It's interesting.
eyeballs. And finally, I'm like, all right, you got to put the partridge down. You're kind of weirding me out here a bit. But I remember you were cleaning a bird and the head came completely off.
Oh, God.
It was just like
An esophagus.
The esophagus sticking up. And you were like, oh my God, look at this.
It was fascinating.
Yeah, looking back, it's like, geez, that was a little bit
Graphic.
graphic.
But it probably makes sense on why I do what I do now.
it's educational.
You know, it was
And
really
my
interesting.
kids are the same way. We open up the crop,
Mhm.
see what they've been eating, and they just are completely amazed by that.
Now I'm fascinated that birds are really the only descendants of dinosaurs.
Crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
I started getting really into that. So, Yeah, it's
If you look at a
interesting.
loon, I mean, yeah, it screams dinosaur to me.
oh, I could give you some books.
Yeah.
Really interesting
So
stuff.
You didn't really do much for deer hunting.
No, you know, I was never invited, which is fine.
Yeah.
That honestly, that was nothing that I honestly really felt super compelled to do.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up doing this, and I am so appreciative for the experiences I had. But even now, I don't ever see myself being a very like adamant, you know, going
Yeah.
hunting, like making that a pursuit that I do. But I hope to go with you guys again sometime.
You did a moose hunt,
I did. So yeah, I
but
was
you weren't there when the moose
support
were shot.
staff.
Yeah. Well, we all were.
Yeah, I was with you and Lacey.
Yeah, but mom had shot it before we get there.
Correct.
Remember?
Yes. That's the one moose hunt I had been on. That was a fun time. I was there
Yeah,
for
we had a blast.
moral support in I can't remember what camp we stayed in, but it was
Machias Lake.
It was
Big Machias Lake, Boyd
so
Tibbetts.
much
Boyd
fun.
Tibbetts camp.
Yeah.
so much fun. Briar was a little baby chocolate lab.
Yes,
She
that's right.
came up as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember riding with
That was the trip I lost my brakes.
Was it?
You remember that?
No.
So we lived in Bangor at the time. You stopped at Bangor, came to our place, and you rode out from Bangor all
With
the way
you
up with us.
Okay.
And yeah, because you had to use the bathroom too along the interstate. I had to pull over.
That's shocking.
He's sprinting down to the woods. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, we were
If you
coming
could
through
see
Presque
Anthony's
Isle.
face right now when you said that.
We were coming through Presque Isle, and I'm coming to a red light. Pedal went clear to the floor. Right through the red light.
Oh, I do
my
remember
goodness.
that.
Right?
Oh,
I lost my rear brakes. But there's two reservoirs. So I had front brakes,
right,
and they do most of the work anyway.
right.
And that old pickup at the time had drum brakes in the back, discs in the front. And yeah, we went the entire trip with just front brakes.
I remember that. Yes. That was a fun trip.
Yep.
That's the only big game trip I had been on. And
That was a nice
again,
moose.
one of my, like the thing I remember the most is when the moose was in the trailer and I was looking at the inside of its lips and all those little
yeah.
I'm so fascinated by the anatomy of these things.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating.
You had to clean one out.
I can
pretty
only
cool.
imagine. Well, I was there when it was happening.
Yeah, that's right. We were holding it open.
We were
and
there.
stuff
I
for
have
that.
photos
Yeah.
of photo evidence that I was
Briars
there.
running around. I remember on that trip, Dad gave Mom, because Mom's not a big game hunter.
The
She's never
wrong
really-
shell.
Nope, gave her the whole spiel on, moose hunting in Maine isn't like it used to be. It's probably going to take a little bit of
Yeah.
work. It's going to take a little bit of hunting.
Yeah, like
I
an
think
hour.
it's like 7:30. I get a message on the radio. We got a moose.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a theme here.
The heck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
It
sensing
worked
a
out
theme.
about like this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this year we wanted to hunt,
Yeah.
or this past year. And I'm
well,
thinking,
you plan for the worst and hope for the best.
yeah,
So we get the best.
Dad, I think he's a shooter.
Yeah.
Bang, 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 bang.
That would be an example of good stress.
Yeah.
Good stress.
Yeah. And thankfully, we walked down to the moose
Yeah. We're running out of time here, folks.
We are,
It's
what time is it?
after
after 11.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we got a wedding to
Is
go
that-
to
oh,
today.
I had after 12.
No, that's way off.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well,
That's
excuse me.
It's 11. We're good. But yeah,
Yeah.
we got a wedding to go to.
We do.
We got I got a cousin getting married.
I am fitting in all the things this weekend.
You are.
Podcast, wedding, you name it.
Oh, so before we end this, I want to call attention to, so Brittney just started a social media platform.
Oh boy.
Your evidence doc
Yes.
at Instagram,
Yes.
Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Where else are you at?
TikTok.
Oh gosh.
I broke down I downloaded
I can't even
TikTok.
break down and get on Facebook.
I have to ask my Gen Z medical assistants to help me with it because I don't understand TikTok, but I'm learning. And YouTube. And don't expect much yet. I literally just started this, but it really came from, I get asked a lot of questions by patients about trends, fads in health, influencer stuff, as Dad had mentioned. And sometimes
20,000 IUs of D3. Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know how to answer certain things. And I know you're like this too, Paul. You like to know.
Yeah.
Right? Like there is a discomfort, I think, in both of us when we're like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't like saying I don't know.
And
But
I frequently,
it's good to say that.
I frequently have to tell folks that I don't know. That is part of my job. That's what keeps me interested in what I do. But I digress. I get lots of questions and I want to know the evidence behind it. And is it supported by the evidence? Is it not? What's that look like? So yeah, I created this channel, Your Evidence Doc, to kind of look at things that I commonly get asked by patients to see like, what is the evidence behind this? What are the recommendations? Is there truth to it? Is there a partial truth? And just kind of help break those things down. And it's helpful for me. It improves my clinical practice. I actually
100%.
have answers
Makes you
for
dig
people.
around into things.
100%. And I'm hopeful that it'll be helpful for everybody else as well, who clearly are thinking these things and have questions about them because they're asking me. So
Well, you get presented with so much stuff in life, and sometimes it's correct in the right context.
correct.
But you have to. The saying goes that you can know just enough to be dangerous.
Mhm.
That's quite accurate because sometimes in the wrong situation, it's bad.
Right.
We talked about that at the beginning with the lady on the Deer Don't Travel up
Mhm.
here.
Yeah.
She had a little information.
Yeah.
We are on the edge, the northern edge of whitetail habitat.
Didn't really
But
fully
she didn't
understand what
understand-
that meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, deer do travel up here, and
Well, they live
coyotes
up
have an effect on that.
here. They're
But-
born and raised
But
in these
I
areas.
knew what she was going in. She had a little information that she was,
Yeah.
and so it made the entire thing wrong.
So it's great. It's great that you're doing this because it's kind of funny. And I was kind of doing something similar. It's going to be more
A little different.
drug
It's
related,
different. Yeah.
stuff like that.
It's
But
different.
I've been thinking about it for a while, and it's not released yet. I got stuff that's still in the planning.
Yeah.
But I'd created everything.
Yeah.
And I sent it to you, and you were like, "Are you like reading my mind?" And then you're like, "I got the same thing going on."
Sort of. They're going to be, it sounds like
Yeah.
they're going to be different. I'm really trying to focus on, I love evidence-based medicine, right? And I'm really trying to focus on things that like I said, I hear every day in clinical practice. This is going to be like really on the fly videos. My first one was shot in my office, like 5 minutes before seeing my first patient. And it's really just clinical questions I get asked by folks where I'm like, geez, I don't really know. Like, let's find out what like the peer-reviewed journals and the evidence shows, not just like get on Google and look it up.
No.
These are,
Because one of the things that I think people fail to realize that a lot of these programs teach isn't really about teaching you what the right answers are, because the right answers change over time.
it's so
what
nuanced.
what was accurate 6 years ago can change in a matter like, okay, what we knew then, we've now found not to be, it's not true. So one of the things that most of these programs are good about teaching is, and I think people need to embrace it more, especially students, because too many students want to find a recipe for their patients or whatever, and then not have to think about it.
That doesn't
just
exist.
go through and what at least my program focused on, and I'm sure yours did too, is how to find the right answers about things and how to find the correct answers that are factual, because nowadays there's so much stuff to tease through
Oh, 100%.
to figure out if what I'm being fed
It's true.
is true. It's insane. Even watching a video, I watched one this morning that was presented to me on Instagram, and I right away was like, well, this isn't real. It was made with AI.
Oh, God.
It was an actual video of these guys talking. But I'm like, that's not real. And then I get digging a little deeper, and it was made with AI, and I'm like, holy cow, though, it looks so legit.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm watching two people actually have a conversation.
It is really hard for people to find good information. I have patients every day that come
You
in.
have to know what to look for.
Right. And they'll say, I know I shouldn't do this, but I looked it up on Google.
Yeah.
And I will tell them I have Googled things just for fun.
Yeah.
Right. Like I know the standard treatment XYZ of like how we treat hypertension.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask like, I'll get on Dr. Google and I'll say, can you pair losartan and hydrochlorothiazide?
All right.
And it'll say, absolutely not.
Comes in a combo.
That right. And so if I'm getting on there, it makes me even be like, wait a minute, am I wrong?
Yeah.
And then I go to my medical database, right? And this is where patients don't have access to the databases and things that we have access to. And so it's really hard, for people to find good information.
Seriously, Google says you can't take the 2D.
I think I looked up either like lisinopril and losartan and hydrochlorothiazide. Can you take them together?
Because
And
it
was
literally
like,
together
together.
in a combo.
Yeah.
You can get the two.
Yeah.
all
And
together with that one.
you know how Google now does the like AI, the AI.
Then you
blurb?
look down on the bottom and it says, this is experimental.
Yeah.
It's
And
like, what's that, your little safety net to make sure that you're not.
I think it said you cannot combine them because of concerns of like potassium derangement.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Hyperkalemia.
well, that's kind of silly because we use this together. This is bread and butter medicine.
All the time.
This is bread and butter medicine.
You can find, it's funny on the internet, you can find the answer. Whatever answer you want something to be, I feel like you can find it.
Yeah.
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 If you want to start with the answer you want and backtrack, you can find something to support it and
100%.
use that as your argument.
That's kind of been interesting too, as I've done I have some topics all lined up for the channel I'm creating, just that I've been writing down that patients ask me. And so often I find kind of both sides of the story in the evidence as well.
Yeah.
Right. So then that's when it comes down to the nuance of medicine of what's your risk versus benefit.
Yeah.
Right. There is a little truth here, but how does that actually apply clinically? How does that actually apply in an individual? And everybody's different, right? And how their body reacts to things, tolerates things. So boy, it becomes a kind of a muddled picture very quick.
It does.
And I really sympathize with folks who have unlimited access to information.
Yep.
And it can be really hard to sift through what is real and what is not. It's hard for us on our side of things. I just can't imagine for folks in the everyday life.
I had a
right?
professor, I remember she used to say, I'd ask a question or whatever. And she's like, well, it all depends. I used to hate that.
Dr. Elliott used to always say that. It depends.
It all depends, Paul.
And it's true.
And she'd kind of laugh. And I'd be like,
It's true. It does
no,
depend.
I want to like,
That's the
want a yes
the
or a
old-
no.
Nothing's
The old
concrete.
mechanic answer there.
Yeah.
Could be a lot of things.
Oh God, I
It
say
all
that so
depends.
much in a day.
Could be a lot of things.
What's causing me to feel fatigued?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be a lot of things. Where do I start?
Well, shoot, I could go on for hours.
Me too. You know, we were very lucky. Nana Guiou, your mom, dad was very into science, really promoted, like, she used to go
Yes, she
fossil
did.
hunting with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to be a paleontologist.
Well, that's why I still read about dinosaurs. That's why
That was your,
I love dinosaurs.
yeah.
If I could be a paleontologist and
Make some money.
make some money,
Hard to make a living being a paleontologist.
and man, you spend a lot of time in the desert. Turns out I don't like the heat.
Or the sand.
Rattlesnakes.
Don't like the heat. Don't like the sand.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of parts to that where I was like, you know, maybe I'll just be like a hobbyist paleontologist and I'll collect dinosaur bones. I'll just buy it and
There you
have
go.
it in my office. So I did. Yeah. So Nana used to go collect fossils with me in Baxter State Park because Maine has a lot of Devonian period fossils, a lot of like early
we
marine
took you up
life.
to Square Lake there, and we
Yes.
collected all kinds.
You can
of
find
Yes.
fossils until you're
Point.
blue in the face.
Great.
or-
Oh yeah, they're just everywhere.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love it.
We went over, in fact, a couple of years ago, Paul, and looked again.
Get all kinds.
We had lunch over there on Limestone Point and went fossil hunting. So
Well, good.
We
got a
always
couple
had
minutes left.
we were just raised with I think a curious nature. Even Nana and Grampy LaPointe's house, we were always down in those 80 acres, just
Messing
exploring the
around.
woods,
Yeah.
shooting squirrels,
Yeah.
like
Shoot all kinds of stuff.
just
Jumping each other with snowmobiles.
jumping each other. playing ice hockey down on the pond.
Yeah.
I mean, we were.
Remember that when the adults came outside?
What are you guys doing?
I think you and Nikki were actually, and she's the one getting married today.
Yes, Nikki's getting
Kyle
married.
and I built a jump.
They were jumping us with the snowmobile.
You guys were laying down. We were jumping in the snow sleds.
That went over big with the ladies.
Oh, Lord.
The mothers.
And we're still here to tell the story.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Well, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, that's
Should we call it we've gone quite a while.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me
Thanks
on
for-
the podcast, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
I really appreciate it.
Figured we
This is-
should seize the moment. You were coming up, going to be here. We're like, we can squeeze in a podcast.
I'll be back up in July too. Looking forward to it.
We'll do some bird hunting this fall. Right, Anthony?
Yeah. I know I would like to
Get that van up here. We'll get that.
Oh my
We'll
gosh.
break
Yeah.
that in.
Break that in. So, all right. Well, I guess it's time to get ready for a wedding.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I guess that's it.
I love it.
So until next time, get outside.
It's good for the soul.
There you go.
We
See
can
ya.
do it twice.
Right there.